Santana here from Delaware Contemporary. I have the pleasure of meeting with artist and ceramicist Michael Dika today. We're going to get to know him a little bit better, and we're going to welcome him to this clay throwdown, where I am going to win, obviously, right? Great. But before we get started, I must say, compliments of Michael. I have the best and the coolest mask, so I already feel like the creative energy is flowing right here. So, Michael, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your work.
So, Michael, as Tia said, I'm originally from Ghana, and I've been in the US for like 2 years now. So, I mean, you could tell from my accent, definitely still adjusting and assimilating the US cultural system. I think personally for me, my work has always been about my identity and how I define myself in the US. I feel like I always do try to express my emotions through my work. So I definitely do not set out like a pre-idea of what I want to make. I let the emotional, how I feel, determine how the piece come out. Yeah, mostly I talk about my experiences in Ghana and how that is being translated in America. And most of my pieces have like that vibrant or sad feeling to it. So, I mean, you could definitely see my piece and tell the mood in which I am. So,
Our first vessel is to create a vessel that is expressive. So, an expressive vessel. Okay? Focusing on contemporary practices and approach. I like that you talked about how your work embodies your feelings, like it embodies your connection. And I think that that's important for the artist, the maker, to be able to bring out that in their work. So I think that this is a great challenge that will embody that. In my practice, I could definitely say my work, there are days where I come in the studio and I know that I'm not going to have a good day. There's no reason for me to even get on the wheel. Because usually, like, I know it's just not going to be a good day. But maybe I should rethink that. Because maybe I should make some pieces that reflect that.
yeah, definitely. I do agree with you. I mean, I feel like we always kind of hold ourselves down to like expectations, right? And these expectations are set out by who? That's the question I think we should ask ourselves. So normally for me, I feel like coming here, realizing that expectations are not like you can't actually define expectations unless you are experiencing it. So I don't hold myself down. I just let experience go to play, and then just go. So I don't think you should define having to have a good work, but rather let it play, express how you feel.
Just like the intuitive process of this, you create right then on the will to inform your practice, or do you come to the will with like preconceived ideas of what you're going to make?
Sometimes I do come with preconceived ideas, but in the making process, you realize you get like different ideas as well. And I don't be like, oh, this is a preconceived idea. Like whenever I feel like there's a different approach that I'm getting or a different vibe, I definitely do go with that. So, because I feel like preconceived ideas are good, but like it limits you to like opportunities, right? To like find out new things that you can do that you don't even know about. And definitely the will has always been a tool and not like the beginning and the end of my process. Like I mostly try to use the will to form a part of the piece or just play a role in the piece, like pretty much. Yeah.
Do you have a will in your studio?
Yes.
about your studio practice. Where is your studio located?
So my studio is in University of Delaware, Studio Art building. It's a pretty big studio. Thanks to COVID, I don't have to shoot the studio anymore.
Oh, nice.
I feel like that's a really good thing I had about COVID.
That's a perfect. You
Yeah.
get your own studio.
Yeah, so I don't have to share the wheel with anyone, so that's great. I mean, the studio is, so I have like a pretty big space.
Wow.
Yeah, that I'm sharing. So, I think most of my pieces are like hand built. I use a lot of slab works. I enjoy slick scoring, like putting one thing on top of each other, like every time. I think it reminds me a lot about Ghana, and then it reminds me of the marketplace. Like in Ghana, the marketplace, you see people stacking goods on top of each other, like every time. You see people carrying objects on their head with stack of goods on top of each other. So just that process of like having to, roll a slab, score, stack on top of each other. It's definitely a process that resonates with me as an artist. So I do enjoy that, and I feel like the wheel does not give me that space to be able to do that because it has to be a defined piece. And normally, whenever I use the wheel, I want to make the piece and then mess it up and then stack it on top of something else. So yeah,
I love that. I love that
so,
stacking.
yeah. So why do you use the wheel as your tool? You use how do you consider the wheel?
So I do consider the wheel a tool that allows me to form the vessel. I feel in my practice, the wheel is a tool for me to create and make vessels in an expedited way, in a quicker way. I like to make taller vessels, but I also like to be able to shape the vessel from the inside out. And the wheel allows me to do that in a more organic way. When I first started creating my forms, they were all hand built, and I was creating them out of foils, foil building, and I just started to explore the wheel as being a quicker way to create these vessels. I spent a lot of time building them from foils. And I also liked the process of being able to get on the wheel and kind of, it was a different practice than hand building.
Meditate.
Yeah, the meditative practice of actually being on the wheel. And I felt like it was really a way that allowed me to kind of take away a little bit, not all of it, but take away a little bit of the control that I had in creating these vessels. Especially the way that I formed the vessels. Some of the vessels I just used my hand from the inside, and I start to shape the vessel that way. I think that it allows me to give control over to like the force of the wheel. And I really like that about when I think about the creation of a vessel to a human form or figurative form. It's not just me creating but like the wheel has a part of the machine has a
yeah.
part of it as well. I like that idea. So when you talk about stacking your pieces, are you stacking your pieces in multiple pieces, or are you stacking them when you're throwing? Are you creating multiple pieces to stack, or are you firing them and then stacking them? How are you considering stacking your pieces?
Normally, okay, so I've done firing and stacking. I've actually done firing and stacking.
So you fire in, okay.
No, I've done that. Like, I think that was just one of my pieces that I wasn't really satisfied with. So,
Okay.
it was like multiple pieces, and then I had to use it's funny, use a glaze as a meat, like as a way to bond these 4 different pieces together. And I think that was one of my most interesting pieces to date.
Okay.
Because they were just like individual pieces, and then now they're like one unified body. And I think that was very interesting. Yeah, so apart from that, normally I just make the pieces, and then like just like I'm throwing right now, I can show like a plate, mess with it, and then stuff it on top of something else.
Okay.
Yeah. Because then it's more like an expression of expectations of how a plate or a vessel is supposed to be like, and then I mess it up, and I stop it. So I think during one of my critiques, someone asked, so I mean, if you're, why are you making these vessels and messing it up? I think for someone to see that, to recognize that and ask that question is definitely what I'm going for. But then I feel like there is this standard and expectations of how things are supposed to be like. And I feel like in a way it leads you to like this structured system, and if you're not able to meet expectations, then you are considered either a misfit or you're not doing very well. And I feel like that actually does not help.
I feel like even when you get to the point that you're proficient in creating vessels and making vessels, there's so much to learn, and there's so much to grow, so much growth in exploring different ways to create or make vessels. Like, everything doesn't have to be perfect,
Exactly.
or that beauty in non-perfection, or exploring a new way to make something. Like, how is there a new way to make something that you're already making?
Unless you mess up, or you gotta find out how that, like, you gotta be able to break out of the normal to find that. Yeah, that's So what I'm doing is I'm trying to get this piece to become a little hard so I can stack it. So I throw the piece and stack it. Otherwise then it's gonna drop. So I'm using a heat gun to like get it to at least almost like a leather hard state, which is not very normal. Okay.
I think something that I love about play as well is that there's so many different processes, so many different stages of the play that you can work in. There's that making part of it, especially when you're on the wheel. There's the time for creation, and you're creating, you're making, you're forming. And then there's that time when the clay starts to snip up in the different parts of like the lighter hard stage, where you can do so many things. You can rip it apart, you can put it back together. I really love that, we try to rush the play.
Yeah, every time.
Our impatience is
Every
like,
time.
we've got heat guns out. Because we're rushing the process. It's like that impatience. I just can't wait.